Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Dennis. So today I'm going to do a review of the Corsair 220T RGB case. Now it's white, it's a mid-tower gaming case. It'll take ATX, mid-ATX, ATX, micro ATX, and ITX motherboards. So, it's got you covered for most of them. And it's a little bit smaller than some of the cases I use otherwise. And I like a smaller case. It just, I don't know, just looks nicer sometimes. So I wanted to get this because I did a review last week on a white motherboard. Well, white, silver, some accent colors. Anyway, pretty close. And I think it'll go in here quite nicely. So let's have a quick look at it. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get the tempered glass off. That way we can see without having a whole bunch of reflections. Screws come out fairly easy. What I like about these now is they have these little rubber grommets, which not all cases had in the beginning, and that protects the glass a little bit. So that way you can't really, well, you can. It's a little harder to damage the glass. Okay, so get the tempered glass off. And again, just pull on it a little bit. So here we have a quick look. So we'll start with the inside. Something they've started doing in the Corsair cases is they have the rubber grommet here. So you can feed your cables up. Now I noticed they've got a couple more openings on the bottom for feeding cables up through, which is really nice. Although this is your hard drive cage. So if this is here, it might get in the way. So you might not be able to feed cables up through here. But you do have room here, here, and here for more rubber grommets. You get a nice big opening on the back. I'll show you this in a minute. That's a lightning node core. I'll show you how all that applies. It's got a little bit of ventilation here for airflow. And of course, you've got your power supply shroud, which I will see in a moment if that actually comes off. I don't believe it does, but we'll have a look in the back afterward and we'll go from there. We'll go through all these cables. Don't worry, I'm going to touch on all of that. And we have probably 7 PCIe slots in the back. Okay, so let's go to the back and have a look. So it does not include a fan on the back, a rear exhaust fan. So that's you can decide if you need that or not. I probably will add one to it. It's going to be a 120 millimeter fan that you're going to need to put on. These are all going to be able to be removed. You're probably going to remove slot 2 and 3 for your graphics card, unless you got a big 3 slotter, in which case that's going to change things. You have room for your I/O shield right here, more ventilation here, and of course power supply is going to go on the bottom. Okay, so one thing I want to show you, just pan down here a little bit. Okay, so down on the bottom, you've got a little catch here. So if you push down on this, you can pull this forward. And you have a dust filter. All right. Actually, I almost wish it would go this way. It seemed to be easier. But anyway, put it back in. That little catch, that little right here. Okay. Push it down, slide it in, and that's going to lock it in place. So let's get to the side panel here. Now, probably these are adaptive screws. So let's get these off. If they're not too tight, you may need a screwdriver. Yep, I'll need a screwdriver for that, and we'll take these off. Okay, so I've loosened these, and then we just pull it with the tab, and it comes off. Nice, good, solid panel. You got your little slots here to help you put it back in place afterward. And that's when we have a look in the back. We're going to have all our case cables, like tie down, twist ties. We're going to have screws, all that kind of good stuff in here. And of course, you have your hard drive cage here, and all your cables. Now, Corsair's cases, some of them, have come pretty standard. So you've got your SATA for power, which powers your little hub here, lightning node core. It runs off of USB, which is what this one is here. And of course, then you have all your normal cables for your PLED, positive, negative, power, and reset. Now, on this one, you just have your power and your reset button. There's not much in the way of cable, so that'll make it a little bit easier. So taking out your thing, take this out. They kind of make a little couple holes like you would if you had a hard drive in there. And You can fit in 2.5-inch drives in there if you wanted to do that, and they'll just slide back in there easy enough. You got 2 more spots here. Once you move your cables, just undo the thumb screw, take that out, and you'll be able to put 2 more in the back here. Or of course, you can put 2 down here, or 2 3.5-inch drives. So in your box, what do we got? So we got everything out. We got our twist ties. You got some washers. You got another standoff. You've got fan screws, motherboard screws, and whatever else, hard drive, whatever it might be. And of course, I'm assuming, yep, it's another standoff. Or this actually, you know what, this could be for M.2. Not certain. It looks like a standoff to me though. Anyhow, so your RGB lighting is all controlled. You got your 3 fans plugged in here, RGB fans. Now in the front, there are 3 addressable RGB fans, and that's what these 3 cables are for. Again, you got your USB and your SATA for powering it up. All your other cables are tucked away here, and you can see they're all kind of moved around here. And your fan, looks like they only got a 3-pin fan, which I'm kind of disappointed with that a little bit. Anyhow, let's move on to the front and see what that looks like. Now, I will point out later on whether this hard drive cage can come out or not. You don't have a lot of room for a power supply at the bottom. You do have a couple rubber feet so it doesn't move and less vibration on the bottom here. But big thing is going to be, can this come out? Which usually it can, but we'll have a look at that in a second. And if it doesn't, then you're going to have a small form factor power supply in here. So just be aware of that. Okay, so moving around to the front, we have it's basically it's like an aluminum or almost a steel actually, and you've got all these vents. Okay, so there's air that can go through here. You've got lots of airflow on the sides, by the way. Okay, and this is really simple to take off. It's got 4 little spots on it that are just pushed in there. So I'm going to pull this off so you can see this. Very simple. So when you look on the back, you'll see these little rubber pieces. Okay, so you can see it. There's 4 of those. It's fairly hefty, actually, that piece, which opens it up so you can see you got your fan filter here. So you just pull it down, comes off. You got 2 little slots on the bottom, and of course on the bottom of the case, there's 2 slots there as well. And when you put it back in, you just put them in there. And it's magnetic, so when it goes on, it's going to fasten on. Let's leave that off for now. Have a look at our fans. So you've got room for 3 120mm fans on the front. So I would say, by looking at the inside, okay, in order to get a radiator in here, a 360, you're going to have to move this hard drive cage for sure. So we're going to have to explore whether we can do that or not, or how we're going to go about that if we want to put a radiator in there. So, but anyway, the rest of this does not come off. It stays in place. Okay, so looking at the top, we have our power button. We have 2 USB 3.0 slots, your headphone mic, and your reset. That's it. That's all the cables you got. So cable management and even plugging everything into your motherboard. Super simple. You have your mesh cover here, filter, magnetic. So you got your little magnetic pieces here, and opens up to what we have on top. So we're going to go over the fans and what we can put on here, just so you know. So in the top, just to keep you informed, you can put up to a 240mm radiator. You can put a 280 or 360 in the front. And you can have a total of 6 120mm fans or 4 140mm. Okay, so remember your 360 does have to go in the front. So you probably are going to move that hard drive cage in order to do that. So let's have a look on the bottom of this case and see if we can actually, what kind of changes we can make to it. So having a look on the bottom, you can see where that filter was. So if you get that out, you can see that there's just the sliders in here for when it's going to go back in. Now we do have the 4 screws for the hard drive cage here. So you can take it out altogether. So that would give you more room for your cables for power supply. But not a lot of people necessarily want to do that. But you can move it over just slightly, it looks like. Just slide over a little bit here. So that might give you the room you need for your radiator in the front, for your 360. You got some feet here. They're kind of a plasticky There's a little bit of rubber on the bottom here, so kind of cool, I guess. Not much else you can do. I mean, yes, you can take it out, or you can move it slightly. So that's slight little bit. So there's a little bit here. Hopefully that gives you enough room. They say a 360 millimeter will go in the front, so we have to trust what they're saying, I guess, because I don't really have one to fit in here right now, but definitely will work. I wanted to show you, it also comes with a little safety information thing, and it also comes with your information on your case here in case you happen to need that. It's always good to have that information. The power supply shroud, let's get to that again here. By the way, the case is not very heavy. One of the lighter cases I've had in quite a while, actually. So your power supply shroud here does not come off. It's actually riveted in 3 spots here. So, I mean, I guess if you wanted to take those out, why you would, I don't know. Maybe use a tap and die or something, and so that way you could have a removable power supply shroud. I don't know. I guess all your case modders out there, you could have to have a look and see if that's what you wanted to do. But this will move up a little bit, I guess probably about there. So that's probably just enough room for your radiator to fit in here with your fans. So yeah, that should work. And 240 on the top. Now with your fans, I just want to go over the fact that you have room for 6 120 millimeter fans. You have 3 addressable RGB fans in the front. So you can put 1 more on the back where your rear exhaust would go, and 2 more on the top. Or you could put up to 4 140 millimeter fans in the case, and I'm guessing probably a couple of those on top. I don't know if a 140 is going to fit in the back. I don't think it will, so you're probably talking about the top and the front. Now, if you're interested in the dimensions, so width-wise on the top, so side to side, so from this side to here is 210 millimeters, and top to bottom is 450 and 395 on the side, so 395 millimeters. So you're going to have to be careful to make sure if you got a huge 30 series graphics cards that it's going to be able to fit. So just to go over one more time, because I just wanted to be 100% clear. On the top, you can have 2 120 millimeters or 2 140 millimeter fans. You can have a rear exhaust that is 120 millimeter, will not take the 140 like I mentioned. And of course in the front, you can have 3 120 millimeters or 2 140s. So that pretty much covers everything. Since I am on the topic of your GPU, the maximum GPU length you can have, since we're talking about GPUs in here, is 300 millimeter. Your max CPU cooler height, so from the back coming forward, is 160 millimeters, which should cover most air coolers for CPUs nowadays. Your maximum power supply length is 180 millimeters, so 180. And dimensions in inches, if you're interested, is height is 17.72 inches by 8.27 inches wide and 15.5 inches deep. And total weight is 14.33 pounds. So, like I say, quite a light case. So just to make mention, I do want to mention the cabling that comes with this. So the cables you're going to come with it are USB 3.0. You're going to get an HD audio cable, power, your reset, and your PLED positive and negative. So not too many cables that you have to worry about plugging in. Really simple, straightforward. You shouldn't need a lot of room because of that. They're all going to come through the bottom here, the little slots that I showed you earlier, and everything else is nicely tucked away. And I want to put a power supply with this and just have a look at the lighting and just see what it looks like from the front. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so this is with all the lights on, just to give you a different look. And I'll show it to you with the lights off as well, just so you can see the differences. Looks pretty good. Okay, so we're just using the power supply. Now the fans aren't running because it's not all hooked up to the motherboard or nothing like that. But it looks okay. I'm not super impressed with it, but it looks pretty good still. All right, everybody, so let's look at the case, quick overview of it. Lighting is pretty good. I find that the steel, the way it's designed, kind of diffuses the lighting, so it doesn't let it come through quite as much as some of their other cases that are just mesh. So let me know what you think of that. It looked okay, but it's more subdued, but you know what, that might be something people like a little bit better, so it's not so very bright in their rooms. So if you like the video, hit that like, Let me know in the comments what you think. If you're new here, think about subscribing. Hit that bell for future notifications of videos as they come up. And of course, if you want to support the channel, hit that join button. Thanks for watching. See you next time.